Sudan. Ita kunkulu kuturu kubapata. Na der kili kalam de silu nufsa tobe salam. Kan amuluket gairu nairobi sura amuluket kili kumbe tija alikuwa be sekali sa. Ma sekali batali be jibu muskila. Tum kan jamulu masaki li nufsa takum. Aha zol tane baden kan jafatul ma itu munia be dasida. Amskota kumbadum kwesi ya jama jibu takum salam.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The Deputy Chairman of the SPLM-IO, Oyet Nathaniel, has called on the grantors of the 2018 peace agreement, including the monitoring body ARJAMEC, Intergovernmental Authorities on Development, AU, UN, EU, Troika, and the IGAD Partners Forum to protect the pact from being violated and abrogated. Western embassies have reiterated their calls for the release of political detainees, including First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar, and direct leaders for dialogue to make sure 2018 peace agreement is implemented. And the National Ministry of Health has reported that over 800 fatalities have been recorded from cholera outbreak across 9 states and 2 administrative areas since the outbreak last year, with children under the age of 14 being the most affected. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Darlington Moses. And now the news in detail. The Deputy Chairman of the SPLM-IO, Oyet Nathaniel, has called on the grantors of the 2018 peace agreement, including the monitoring body ARJAMEC, Intergovernmental Authorities on Development, African Union, United Nations, European Union, Troika, and the Intergovernmental Authorities on Development Partners Forum to protect the pact from being violated or abrogated. Oyet's remark came hours after a group of SPLM-IO members in Juba appointed Stephen Parr Kwal, the Minister of Peace Building, as the interim chairman until First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar is released from house arrest. The group also selected Lasoba Wango, the Minister of Federal Affairs, as the interim deputy and Agok Makur as the interim Secretary General. This development followed Oyet's earlier announcement of suspensions of Parr, along with 3 other officials. Oyet accused them of conspiring to replace Dr. Riek Machar. Tensions have been rising within the SPLM-IO following Dr. Machar's house arrest, leading to disagreements among some of its members. In a press statement, Oyet condemned any attempts to violate the peace agreement and reiterated that the SPLM-IO remains fully committed to its implementation. He called on both regional and international communities to intervene.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio.
We call upon IGAD Partners Forum. We call upon all the guarantors, as aforementioned, to safeguard the agreement from being abrogated. The gathering, failing to meet the requirements of the provision of the basic documents of the SPLM-IO, was not only illegal but also null and void. The product of this meeting, wrongly constituted and initiated, and also ill-fated, and aimed to abrogate the agreement, is null and void. And we call other partners and parties to the agreement not to accept and endorse this illegal treachery.
Western embassies have reiterated their calls for the release of political detainees, including First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar, and direct dialogue among parties to the 2018 peace agreement. According to the embassies, this is crucial for the restoration of meaningful peace talks between President Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar and other leaders. The embassies of the French, Germany, the Netherlands, Norway, the United Kingdom, and the United States, alongside the delegations of the European Union, have once again expressed deep concern over the ongoing politically motivated violence in South Sudan. Their statement also highlighted the repeated violations of the ceasefire agreement and the lack of visible efforts by the transitional government to restore and sustain peace. In a statement to iRadio Newsroom on April the 10th, the embassies and the delegation reaffirmed their demand for the release of the political detainees. They say that taking these steps is vital to allow the resumption of direct dialogue among all political leaders, including President Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar. The statement partially read, and I quote, "The embassies and the delegation reaffirm their call for the release of political detainees to permit the immediate resumption of direct dialogue among leaders of all parties, including President Kiir and First Vice President Machar." End quote. The calls for dialogue come amid recent developments within the SPLMIO. Yesterday, some members of the movement announced the appointment of an interim chairman, a move that has been strongly objected to the exiled deputy chair, Oyet Nathaniel. These internal divisions within the SPLMIO has further complicated the already fragile political landscape, leading to increased tensions and delays in peace efforts. Meanwhile, the Western embassies have urged the rescheduling of the 40th meeting of the reconstituted Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Commission (JAMEC), which was postponed yesterday. The meeting, originally scheduled for today, was cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances, with a few new dates to be communicated soon. In a communication seen by iRadio, JAMEC informed all members of the cancellations, expressing regret for the inconvenience caused. The embassies, including those of France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the European Union, have emphasized the importance of rescheduling the meeting without delay. They have said that the meeting focused on addressing the critical challenges to peace in South Sudan. Also, the diplomat stressed that no unilateral actions should be taken that might undermine the 2018 peace agreement. The embassies also reiterated the need for South Sudan's leaders to prioritize peace and fulfill their obligations, underscoring that achieving lasting peace must remain the priority focus on all parties involved. JAMEC's secretariat has yet to announce a new date for the meeting, but assured that further details would be provided as soon as possible. JAMEC is mandated to monitor the implementations of the revitalized peace agreement of 2018 between various parties in South Sudan. The Commission ensures that all parties adhere to the agreement, including aspects related to security, governance, and transitional justice. It also provides reports to the government and the international organizations on the progress of the agreement's implementation, offering guidance on necessary actions to ensure sustainable peace in the country. This is iRadio News. The National Ministry of Health has reported that over 800 fatalities have been recorded from cholera across 9 states and 2 administrative areas since the outbreak last year, with children under the age of 14 being the most affected. Dr. Kedienda Chong, Director General for Preventive Health Services and Emergency Response, confirmed that these deaths were derived from cumulative data, including 45,000 cases of the people affected. He explained that the most affected age groups are children aged 5 to 14 years as well as infants aged 0 to 4 years. According to the report, new epicenters of the disease have shown a decline in cases over the past week. Dr. Chong also mentions that the vaccination campaign has yet to begin in the Pibor administrative area, but 21 counties have already completed the vaccination process.
We still have cases reported across 9 states out of 10 and 2 administrative areas. We have so far reached around 45, close to 46,000 cases of cholera countrywide. We have over 800 mortalities across all these 43 counties that we have reported cholera outbreak, and the most affected age group is 5 to 14. which forms the majority, followed by 0 to 4 years. We also have more females affected than males, and the last counties that have reported higher cases have been Yerol and Pibor, and luckily enough, the new cases have also started to decline in those two locations over the last week.
So far, over 4 million people from the affected areas have been vaccinated, although some counties have not yet participated in the campaign. Western Equatoria and Abia administrative area have remained free of cholera since the outbreak was first declared. This is iRadio News, and now to the stories before the international news. The National High-Level Land Committee and the Central Equatorial Government have resolved to step up concerted efforts to resolve pressing land disputes in the state. This was reported during a meeting at the State Secretariat on Wednesday. The gathering, chaired by Michael Chejiak, the National Minister of Land, Housing and Urban Development, alongside Central Equatoria's Governor Agostino Jadala, brought together senior officials including security representatives. The press unit in the Governor's office reported that the midweek meeting adopted key resolutions to intensify efforts to resolving land-related disputes in Juba and its environs. It is stated that David Morbe, Central Equatoria State Minister of Housing, Land and Public Utilities, reaffirmed the committee's commitment to restoring lawful and management practices. The minister, according to the press unit, appealed for persons from citizens with verified land ownership documents, as the government is actively working to secure and protect their rights claims. He said, and I quote, "I want to make it equivocally clear that my initial ministerial order concerning the demarcations of areas previously surveyed by the Ministry remains in full force. No further demarcations will be permitted in those zones," end quote. Minister Honorable Morbe also said the meeting has prohibited unauthorized use of private global positioning systems (GPS) for land grabbing purposes, adding that the ministry remains exclusive authority over GPS usage. He warned against any individuals intensifying and intending to utilize, saying this must follow official procedures. On his part, the Commissioner of Juba County, Emmanuel Tete Esborn, underscored the urgent need to enforce the presidential order banning the involvement of armed personnel in land allocations processes. Mr. Tete said his leadership recommended the national and the state authorities to demarcate plots in areas of Jondoro, Cor William, Kapuri, the eastern bank of Juba, and sections of Mangala, Payam, and hand over the rightful owners. He reveals plans to enforce the 2021 presidential order law to ensure the full implementation of these resolutions. Established by presidential order in 2021, the National Land Committee remains a central pillar in the government's ongoing effort to restore order, transparency, and justice in the administration across Juba County and wider Central Equatoria states. This is iRadio News, and now to the international scene. We are joined by Madrama James in the studio.
Thanks to my colleague Darlington Moses. Let's have a look at some of the stories making headlines in Africa and beyond. Prominent Tanzanian opposition leader Tundu Lissu was arrested Wednesday after addressing a political rally. In a statement on X, his party, called the Chadema Party, said so far the exact reason for his arrest have not been made clear. Party leaders are closely monitoring the situation to determine the reasons for his arrest and his current whereabouts. Recent months have seen a spark in attack on opposition figures. The rally in Mbinga was one of many across the country aimed at mobilizing voters and demanding reform ahead of the upcoming general election. As tension rises ahead of the vote, human rights groups and critics are questioning the government's commitment to political freedom. Many fear that without significant reforms, Tanzania's election may not be free or fair, undermining the legitimacy of the entire process. Elsewhere, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says at least 155 Chinese citizens are fighting for Russia in the war. His comment comes after 2 Chinese fighters were captured earlier this week. making Kyiv's first official allegation that China was supplying Russia with manpower. Speaking to journalists on Wednesday, Zelensky reiterated his claim that there are many more Chinese nationals engaged in the conflict based on information gathered by his government. Finally, finance market in Asia and Europe make gains after Donald Trump announced a 90-day pause for nations hit by higher U.S. tariffs. His universal 10% levy for all countries except China remains in place, as does the 25% rate for all aluminium, steel, and cars entering the U.S. The trade war between Beijing and Washington deepens as Trump raises tariff on goods from China to 125%, citing lack of respect. These are some of the stories making headlines in Africa and beyond. Back to you, my colleague Darlington Moses.
Thank you so much, Madrama James. And now to the sport news. We're joined by Nathan William.
Jamus FC Juba and Merikh FC Bentiu have officially secured their spot in the group stage of the South Sudan FA Cup Zone B representatives after impressive victories in their recent qualifying matches held in Juba. Jamus FC Juba overcame Nile City Yambio, while Merikh Bentiu edged past Koryombo to book their place in the next round. However, the journey is not yet over for Koryombo and Nile City, who will face off in a play-off match to determine the third and final club to represent Zone B in the tournament's next stage. The winner of the play-off will join Jamus Juba and Merikh Bentiu alongside 3 clubs from Rumbek and 2 clubs from Reng to compete in the final rounds of the FA Cup, scheduled to take place in late April in Juba. In European football, Nuno Mendes struck deep into stoppage time to give Paris Saint-Germain a significant advantage against Aston Villa in the Champions League quarter-final first leg at Parc des Princes. And Rafinha equaled Lionel Messi's club record for goal involvements in a single Champions League campaign as Barcelona thrashed Borussia Dortmund to take command of their quarter-final tie. The Brazilian forward scored and assisted twice to reach 19 goal involvements in the competition. This team, the same as Messi achieved in the 2011-2012 campaign. And finally, an emotional Luka Doncic helped the Los Angeles Lakers clinch a seeded playoff spot as he hit 45 points during a 112-97 win against former side Dallas Mavericks. The Slovenian completed a mid-season trade to Lakers from the Mavericks in February in one of the most surprising moves in NBA history. Doncic was reduced to tears as the Mavericks play a pre-game video tribute to the 26-year-old, while his every touch was cheered by the home fans during the opening minutes of the contest. He quickly put settlement aside, putting up 13 points in the first quarter and 31 by halftime. That's all in the world of sport, and now back to you, Darlington.
Thank you so much, Nathan William, for the important sport update. And now to end this bulletin, let's have the recaps on the top stories once again. The Deputy Chairman of the SPLM-IO, Oyed Nathaniel, has called on the grantors of the 2018 peace agreement, including the monitoring body ADJAMEC, Intergovernmental Authorities on Development, African Union, United Nations, European Union, Troika, and the IGAD Partners Forum to protect the pact from being violated or abrogated. Western embassies have reiterated their calls for the release of political detainees, including First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar, and direct dialogue among parties to the 2018 peace agreement. And the National Ministry of Health has reported that over 800 fatalities have been recorded from cholera across 9 states and 2 administrative areas since the outbreak last year, with children under the age of 14 being the most affected. That's the end of iRadio News. If there's a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also a WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at 1:30. I am Darlington Moses. Thanks for listening.